Sweet delay.
See the fields burning. See the fields burning. Well, I see the fields burning, 'cause hell is coming through. I can't stop the dogs of war. I can't stop the dogs of war.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Feel the river rising. Feel the river rising. Well, I feel the river rising. Devil's coming up for you. I can't stop the dogs of war. I can't stop the dogs of war. I can't stop the dogs of war.
Hey everyone, Joe here, doing our final for our first entry into the Pearl Harbor 80th anniversary group build hosted by Charlie Mack and Al Wood. Let me explain a few things, but here we are. We did do the Wolfpack 148 scale P36, which is the rebox of the Academy P36. First, let me just say that this is one of those kits that kind of fight you all the way. Not necessarily because it's a bad kit. It's just one of those things where things just kept going wrong and you just couldn't believe it. So like if you went to reach for something and I knocked a paint jar off the top shelf and it hit something else which popped onto the kit, and even though it's 6 feet away and you're like, really, super glue stopped sticking. So I had a hell of a time with these antenna wires to actually get them to stick in place with my super glue. I used like 3 different super glues. No idea, it just would not stick. The canopy masking peeled off the paint, which I've never had happen before. And I was just kind of like, wow, this is one of those builds. So I was happy to get it done and off the bench. The other things that went wrong, and let's give it a little spin around, because overall it doesn't look bad from your viewpoint, from far away. But so while I was building this, I was on vacation over Christmas, and it had been raining here in Southern California for almost 11 straight days, which is unheard of. We don't get 11 days of rain in like 4 years, let alone 11 straight days of rain and 40-degree temperatures. But I was on vacation, so I had to do something. You should never paint in the rain. I think we all know that as modelers. If you're new, don't paint in the rain. It's too much humidity. It's too much dampness. Things will go wrong. And I knew that, but I didn't anyways. So, lesson learned to me. Otherwise, if you're not, you're just going to pay the consequences, and that's fine. Sometimes you can get away with it, but I did not. My paint went down fine. Chipping, a little bit of chipping. You can see some scratches. I didn't go too much. I did the hairspray method, which I will show later. But basically, you just put down, a layer of aluminum, some hairspray chipping fluid, which I used VMS's fluid in this case, and then did my panel lining, my pre-shading, and then did the color over top here, the olive drab, and then take a little bit of water, get in there with a brush, and just kind of scrape away at it. Panzermeister 36 just did a demo on that, and also I believe Steve Jones did one, or Andrew Shaw, one of those two guys. And so they explain it probably way better than I could. Go check them out. But you have to do it in a timely fashion as well, and I didn't. So the paint probably dried way too much. You don't want to do it right away, but you don't want to do it days later like I did. So another thing that kind of went wrong. Now also this kit does have issues. Didn't fit in a lot of places. Still doesn't fit in a lot of places. I wasn't a big fan of this kit overall. If you want a P36 in the stash, probably the best one to get. And Wolfpack did a great job with the instructions and adding in extras, all that. So no fault of theirs. But yeah, here's what we got. While it's spinning, what I do want to do is give you a little bit of history about this pilot, which was Lieutenant, let me get it here for you, Lieutenant Harry Winston Brown of the 47th Pursuit Squadron at Holloway Field. Actually, he was on the 15th Pursuit Group in Holloway Field. And I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of history about this guy. It's a pretty amazing story what happened here. So, at the attack of Pearl Harbor, Brown and another pilot, Johnny Danes, watched as the first wave of Japanese planes flew over. Quickly, they decided to head for Holloway Field. Assuming that the raiders had missed that auxiliary field, they took Brown's car and picked up Lieutenant Bob Rogers along the way, dodging a Japanese pilot who was intent on strafing his convertible. So he was being strafed as he's driving to the airfield. They get there. Brown takes off in his P-36 here. And he was dressed in pajama tops, tuxedo trousers, house shoes, a flight helmet, and goggles. That just cracks me up. The situation that these guys went through and what they did to try and get in the air to help is just an amazing story, all in all, for everybody there. So once he was up in the air, he formed up with Second Lieutenant Malcolm Mike Moore, and they engaged two B-5N2s, which are Kate torpedo bombers, and Brown hit one of the planes, and it burst into flames. He shot that down, and then was also credited with another kill as well. So a pretty amazing story from a pretty amazing pilot, and more goes on. He's got more stories as the war goes on as well. So a pretty good pilot, and really interesting. So we'll stop this from the spin, and we'll kind of give you a little bit of a tour, but it's not going to be much. I'm going to tell you that because it's just not that great. But I will say this. The problem with the paint, I didn't finish that story, and I'm going to apologize for that, but the problem with the paint was when I put the clear on, it really got textured. I mean, I sent pictures off to Ben, and I was like, oh my God. It was textured, like pebbly. It was bad. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I could try and sand this down, but you really can't sand it down. It was the All-Clad Aqua Gloss. Never had that issue. Use it all the time. Again, attribute it all to dampness, humidity, rain, etc. I'm out here in the garage, so, that's the way it goes. But I was like, you know what? It's for a good cause. I'm going to power through it. And we'll hope for the best. Here's an underside view real quick. We are missing exhaust. The exhaust don't fit in. Another part of the story, I'm telling you. But yeah, it's I was like, we're in so much trouble. Put the decals on, glossed again, did my wash. Wash didn't really stick because you can see it a little bit, but there was so much gloss on it because I tried to re-gloss it again after the pebbling that I pretty much filled in all the panel lines, essentially. Luckily, my pre-shading is there to show up. And So I was getting ready to write it off. I was not a happy camper. I almost threw this thing, but didn't want to because of the cause. So the saving grace, and I will praise their name over the mountains and back, was the VMS satin varnish that I used. It completely took away or blended in the pebbling so that you can't see it anymore. I mean, you can see it's a lot smoother. So, to VMS, Chris over there in Poland, you make a fantastic product, and I will be a customer for life. I just placed another order because it is in Poland. It takes a bit to get here. And I have definitely a stockpile. I don't usually like to use that word, but I have a stockpile of VMS products now. And I will continue to use them because every time I use it, I'm blown away at the results. And now it's a build saver as well. So anyways, I've gone on long enough. This is our first entry. Another entry coming up here in a short time. But lots of fun doing this group build. Really good stories. And thank Charlie and Al for putting this on. So thank you very much. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you're staying safe. And until next time, take care.